Hi there, and welcome back to another edition of Two Guys in a Game Shop. I'm John.
And I'm Phil.
And this time we're going to be doing Agricola by Z-Man Games. It's also known as Agricola.
We're going to call it Agricola, though. That's what we've been calling it. So you can gnash your teeth if you want to as we talk about this game. It's a worker placement game that handles up to 5 players.
It is a great introductory resource gathering style game to teach people, and we'll be going through showing you all the pieces, how a turn will work, all the mechanics, then wrap up with our thoughts about the game. Here's an overview of the game itself and all its pieces it contains. You of course have your rule book, your play board, the player boards.
You've also got the major improvement boards here with all the cards for the major improvements. You've got a scorekeeper's card, some additional action cards, begging cards.
You also have the various resources you'll use, as well as you'll have reed, there'll be stone, wood, grain, vegetables, as well as you're also going to have your buildings that you can build. Your starting, as well as your clay upgrade and your stone upgrade. And it's a nice thing too in this game that if you run out of pieces, they can add additional by saying 3 times or 5 times. You'll have your stables, as well as your first player turn marker and your fencing.
And you've got food markers here, you've got family members that are represented by these discs, and you've got your animals that are on your farm. They actually include little animal pieces in the game: cows, boars, and sheep. And then you've got a scorecard, a bag of baggies to hold everything, and then 3 separate decks of occupation and minor improvement cards that are used in the game.
We'll now show the mechanics of the game, how you go about playing it. And so I am the first player will always have the yellow marker, and since I'm first player I get to pick up one of my pieces and then choose up here which one I'm going to take. I'm going to choose to go ahead and take the sheep. So when I put this down, I get to collect all the sheep in here, and then normally you can only put 2 animals per fenced in area, but since I have a stable...
So like if it was mine, it would be only 2.
But I have a stable, which is 2 times the allotment allowed. So I can hold up to 4 in my area.
Then it would be my turn, and I would take one of my people, and I would choose another action. It's one of these face-up ones, except I can't choose that one since he's already on there. So I'm going to choose the day laborer and collect 2 food by doing that.
So then I'll grab my second person I have and then place that one. I'm going to go with plowing field. So then I get one of the plowed fields, and I can put it anywhere I want on here as long as it's not already being used.
Then on my turn I use my last person, and I am going to sow and or bake bread. So when I sow, if I have any grain or vegetables, and this is a grain, I can sow into my fields. If you have enough, you can actually sow all your fields, but since I only have 1, I can only sow 1 field. When I do that, when it's grain, you add 2 pieces to it, because grain grows pretty good. Vegetables only add 1 piece to it. And then that's it for my placement.
So now we've all placed, so it would now be the end of the round. So then what we're going to do is you'll keep going and keep repeating what we're doing here with different things, trying to build up. But then always keep in mind at the very end, once you go through all the cards, you're going to have a harvest phase. Now with a harvest phase, instead of starting again on the next one, instead what you'll do is first a field phase, where each player gets to take 1 marker off each grain and vegetable of the field first.
So I get to claim one of these back into my supply.
The next phase is the feeding phase, and you need to, it's time to feed your people. You're going to have to feed 2 food for every member of your family.
And since I've got 2 people, I have to feed 4 food. I could choose to eat one of the grain as one of the food, but I'm not going to because I actually have 4 food. So mine are fed.
Now, unfortunately for me, I don't have any food, and since I do have animals, but I don't have a fireplace, I can't cook them yet. So, unfortunately, my people are going to starve, and so I'm going to have to take begging cards.
You get 1 begging card per person that starved.
And they end up being a negative at the end of the game against your scoring points. The last phase is breeding phase. So if you have at least 2 of the same type of animal, you get to add 1 more as long as there's room. Since I have 3 animals, but we'll look at the 2 because this one will have no one to mate with, but these 2 will mate and make another animal. So now I have 4. So now this stables will be full. And that's kind of, you'll just keep going around that until the end of the game, and then the final aspect of the game is just going to be scoring. You're going to score up. There's a lot of different things for you to score to get points for. Leaving not open spaces, different kinds of animals, all these things to make a real variety of a farm. You get more points for doing that. And then ultimately the one with the most points wins.
And additionally, actions come up like this one here, where you can choose to buy a major or minor improvement. Minor improvements are the cards in your hand, and you can choose one of those cards, and they can provide extra points with the gold coins on them, but they all help you in various different ways. Another way is to have an occupation, and occupations are cards too, and they provide something that you can do in some way that will actually help you with your farm.
Now, one of the things I like best about Agricola is that it's easy to teach this game, and it's pretty easy to get people who normally don't play games to play this game with you also, because of just how simple the actions are and everything to do in the game.
Yeah, it doesn't have the most exciting a theme with farming. Usually when you tell people, let's play a farm game, they're kind of like, eh. But if you can get them to play it, it's actually a pretty fun game system.
Yeah, Phil was the first person I ever played this game with, and he told me about the game we were going to play. I honestly was not too keen when I found out that it was a farming game. Not really my bag, but after playing it, I ended up picking up a copy of this, and it's one my wife really enjoyed also, which is really nice that it plays well with 2 people, and it plays equally well with 5 players also, which I really like about the game also.
Yeah, it has a nice scaling system in it with the cards, because the cards are actually numbered for 2 players or 3 or 5, up to 5. So it gives you quite a variety of different cards. I mean, my wife and I play quite a bit, and we see some of the same cards, but we really enjoy when we play with more people, because then we get to see cards that we haven't played with, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's a real nice thing about the game. My wife actually said the exact same thing. She's like, I've never even seen that card before. We played this game like 10 times now. The other thing I really like about the game is the speed of the game. So you have that set number of turns of flipping over all the cards and then having the harvest. You have to plan for that harvest to make sure you're not going to have to take those begging cards. Especially when you're playing with other experienced players who play before, it's like that's going to be devastating at the end.
Well, yeah, it becomes a resource grab. It's like who gets the food first, who gets the wood first, and everything else like that. And it can be a real scramble to get the food so that you can feed your people, especially with more people playing, because you have the same number of spaces, and you just have a lot more people vying for those spaces.
Yeah, that first player marker gets passed around like nobody's business in a multiplayer game. It's pretty great. Now, unfortunately, there is one thing I dislike a little bit about this game, and that the simplicity of the pieces that come in the box. I do feel they're a little plain Jane. You have to use your imagination more in a little bit with your clay and your reed and that kind of stuff. They do make other pieces that you can purchase that add to the game and can make it look a little more filled up. It just one of my complaints with the gaming industry generally. Period. Actually, a lot of companies do this. So.
Yeah. The use of circles for the resources. At least they put the animeeples into the game now. The original game that I got had square cubes for all the animals and the plain circles for the rest of the resources. But if you get this game, at least you get the animals now. You can buy the other pieces, which really help, I think, make this game a little bit more immersive, make you feel like you're actually creating a farm, because you're like, oh, I got all the animals, and I got grain that actually looks like grain, and
carrots for the vegetables.
Yeah, carrots for the vegetables. It really adds to the immersiveness of the game.
Yeah, and it does come with there's several expansions out for this game also that can add to things. I'll turn that over to you, Phil.
Yes, they actually have the main expansion is this Agricola Farmers of the Moor, and this game you require the base game in order to play it, but it adds more major improvements to the game, which is a nice addition. It adds horses. So not only do you have the cows and the sheep and the boars, but now you have horses as well. And then it, of course, adds more decks that offer even more replayability to the game. I mean, the base game comes with 3 decks, and that offers so much replayability just by itself. This adds 2 more decks, just a major improvement, or minor improvements though. And then they also have the World Championship expansion, and that adds 5 mini decks of occupations and minor improvements that you can add into the game. And both of these, of course, they require that you have the base Agricola game in order to be able to use them.
But all in all, I recommend this game. It's a great game with the mechanics and everything else. Plays smoothly, super easy to play, so you're not bogged down by rules, easy to teach new people. I like it for that reason. And I still, I've played this game many times now, and still can pick it up and find something new every time I'm doing it and whatnot. And they even have, like, Phil showed me alternative scoring systems, which you can do with the game. I really like that aspect that you had showed me, where you can make it so you can have a specific type of animal and get paid more for it, so in your points at the end.
So yeah, a lot of these can be found on Board Game Geek. They're basically fan-made expansions. They have the town of Agricola, which you can go to. Instead of placing your people on one of those spaces, you can go to town, and that allows you to do different things that you can't do normally in the game. And they also have the village of Agricola. Just, differences like that are available, because a lot of people really enjoy this game. They've taken the time to create the expansions for it and put them up on Board Game Geek, because it is a game with a lot of replayability. I mean, those different cards. And even though you've got the same actions coming up, they can vary a little bit in the order in which they come up, but with your own occupations, your own minor improvements, and then with any expansion cards that you might have from these, it offers so much difference that from each game. And with the number of players, it creates variety that makes the game very enjoyable, actually.
Oh yeah. So great pickup. You'll get a lot of, once you pick it up, you get a ton of value out of this game. Well, thanks for checking out our video and everything, and game on.